Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the 442nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 21st, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host today. This is a special workshop that includes the Energy Blueprint Part 2, and we'll be broadcasting live from Linz, Austria. And I believe we have Mr. Keshe ready to go to present today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Not seeing your microphone activated, Mr. Keshe. Might have to restart your Zoom on one of your channels to reactivate the microphone, perhaps. Okay, well, bear with us a minute here while we get connected.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes.
Yes. Good morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We are here today as part of the normal Thursday teaching, but in the process, we will show you as part of the blueprint, the first plasma power generator, which means an independent generation of the electricity in a small way, and then addition to it. During the process, you hear a lot of beeping. And this is, in a way, what we are looking for. That beeping is when the what we call inverter comes in to fill up the what we call the batteries, and then it stops. And this shows that the system is rechargeable. Then it becomes permanent. This machine has been running for 2 or 3 days, and in the process of past days, it has continuously generated to keep at 0.3 kilowatts of energy. The same way we showed in Tehran. And we go through that on its own. We might add a third, what we call blueprint day, to show further application of the gas production. This will be sometime next week, we announce it, where we can show the application of the production of methane gas as a gas and a CO2 as a gas. The plasmatic gas of CO2 has a different properties. In a way, many of you have been asking about the fires in the woods and fire application of plasma technology in the fire business. Then we just create that condition as a gas that we don't need to waste or what we call use water and everything else which we are used to. In this process, we extend the knowledge in a third, hopefully, what we call blueprint, because this is to do with energy. In Tehran, we showed the production of the gas hydrogen. We show here the production of the gas in methane and CO2, which methane itself, it condenses as a plasma, has a different application and implication. The teaching of the process is being all the time with us. We have always taught it, but we could not explain it to many of you. We give a small glimpse of the process. If we can go and show you the whole system in a few minutes. And we go on an extension of understanding the first plasma technology generator, which means this can be extended to 1 to 2 kilowatts freestanding. When we call it a freestanding generator, it means does not need anything else to supply it. It works by itself. It's a plasma that lasts for years, and no one has managed to deliver this independent. We depend on the solar system. It depends on also chemical reactions. For the first time, what we promised now has been built, and you can see the generator. And the beauty of this is like in Tehran. If you remember, you could hear the bleep, and when the bleep came, there was the end of the process. We have the same inverter process here. This is the characteristic of the inverter, not our system. But I'm sure in the coming weeks and months, this inverter process with the bleeping and cutting off will go out of the system. But it's good to hear that bleeping. In Tehran, we saw when it bleeped, it stopped, we cannot generate. This system shows it bleeps, it stops because of the inverter, and then it comes back on again, which means inverter confirms production of the AC from a DC source, from the plasma source, and this changes the game of energy production. You can put this anywhere in the world. You are not temperature, environment, sunshine, or what we call natural gases. You hear it, it's gone off now in the background. It bleeps, and it comes back on. Can we go on that camera, please, to show the system? I just show you the system, and then Klaus from the Keshe Foundation Manufacturing will explain to you in a very simple way how the technology has been developed and how it works and how it is there. This is the system. You can hear it. You can see the light, one light on. Then we see the second light coming on, bleeping. The inverter has produced, and we can see the fridge lit. This is the beauty with this technology. We take the bleeper out, what we call a transformer, from a DC plasma to AC current. You have a permanent supply of energy, and this has never been done in the world of science. There is no moving parts. There is no dimensions in changing or adding, and the process can run for years. It can be multiplied to different currents and voltages. I'll leave it to Klaus to explain, to show, and then we carry on with the breakthrough in what we call the world of science. Klaus, would you like to come in?
Yes.
I don't know which camera will pick up. The best position will be here with me. Yep. Okay. I stand back.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to explain how this device works roughly. We finished it like this short time ago. It is a system like it is here in a very big box. It is because we still have all our instruments inside and all the devices we needed to set it up. So this is definitely not the end size of the device. Can be much smaller. But we just left it, we boxed it, that we can move on, like as Mr. Keshe said, with this improvement concerning the beeping, where we have already the solution, but we literally didn't have the time to build it in the very short time. How it stands here is delivering 300 watt continuously in a balance with the devices which are plugged in, which means if I have a control on my mobile phone, an app, and it shows the constant going down, going up of the delivery of the voltage for the fridge in this case, and for the lights. The main content is, of course, the technology and the knowledge which came from Mr. Cash, that we developed the possibility to kick into universal energies. And this kicking in is one of the most, I would say, emotional moments I had in the foundation, because you literally feel when you can explain it like open the window and leave this fresh air in, this energy in, and this energy is kicking into the cables, the coils, and this is a process like it was explained here when there was this blinking of the lights. There is a window open and fresh air and fresh energy comes in. And then it builds up again. At the control device, you can see this continuously going up and down of the voltage, of the power of the energy, which is coming in a plasma state and is being converted in the generator to electrical energy that we can use it here with more or less any device. What is interesting, when we just tasted, we just came from our no. You can't hear me anymore? Yeah, it's good. Okay. This is the process of kicking in. Interestingly, when we brought the device here just half an hour ago, it needed about 7, 8, 9 times, let's say, to pump in the energy. Now it was already 3, 4 times, which means it's building up again. Energy is building up again. The window is more and more open. So this is another beautiful thing that I can watch now, that we changed the location of the generator and it needed some time to build up again, which it does, or she, or it now. Yeah. The fridge, yeah. The fridge is on now. It's cool. The light is on, yeah. Can the light be seen? Okay. Of course, there are nowhere cables. This is, how can we show it with the fixed camera is not easy, but yeah, it's on wheels, yeah. So we.
That's it.
Here's just the connection from the fridge with the extended cable.
So we can see totally independent unit. As Klaus said, this will be miniaturized. There's a lot of things in the background with it. And we build it up to 1 kilowatt and 2 kilowatt. We can build it up to in a position of point of need and on demand. It's taken 40 years of research to be able to deliver this. And we have put it up for production, and we can continuously evolve and expand. The beauty with this point and what we saw in Tehran is very interesting. When we add this system with a methane gas, production of methane gas, adding what we need in the process of the burning to the methane, we can create, as all of you are chemists, know more than me, I know nothing about chemistry, is when you burn a methane gas, you get a CO2 and water, which means through the same process, we can, in a physical condition, create huge amount of water. but using that water, which we added to the system, which come in very soon, we'll show you, is in the process of getting done. We can add food. We can add medicine through magnetic field, which means putting a combination of the gas system, the plasma electric power, and the conversion through for continuous production of the conversion, we can create a sustainable life anywhere on this planet. We produce as much water as we need. We can produce and add to water the way you do with the cups. There we are. We saw in Tehran, the switch comes off its end. If you look, the fridge is dead. Now it takes time. Energy builds up by the plasma, supported. We can control the time of this conversion and we can stabilize it to a full system. There you can see it. And the process will go on. That continuous generation is there. This blipping has nothing to do with the plasma production. This blipping is to do with our inverter, which is made, I think, in Korea. And it will bring that change in. And it's the beauty of this process, which means inverter is flat, the battery are flat, but the system has a charging capability to support. And as we see, the fridge is back on again. This is for the first time that the process has become stable, knowledge understood, and has delivered to what we said. And you can have the condition, as we saw in Tehran, with a plasma unit, or you can have a freestanding generator. It lasts most probably as long as your grandchild does, if the pieces stand. And how it will be shown. Klaus has got to tell you something.
There is one thing. Next time when it starts blinking, if you are watching this LED light, this shows that the voltage is always there before the inverter. So it's not that it just cracks down and nothing is here. It is just the
So as long as that blue light stays on, it shows the battery is charged.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So now we see for the first time the plasma generator, and it can be scaled up to megawatts. It can be scaled up to what we saw initially in China in the flight system, which we developed in South China Sea, where what we saw, if you remember, the balls were all red in color with the gases. And after the surge of some, we estimate 5 megawatts, when we looked at the balls, they were empty, just water. With this process is what we call continuous. But what we've done, if you go on the Keshe Foundation website, we have broken it into 0 to 3 kilowatt, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt. But it's something new with the Keshe Foundation. These units are going for sale. And up to now, you bought something from the Keshe Foundation that was yours. With this comes a contractual fee, annual fee, which allows us to build up for the Keshe Foundation a lasting income, not just one sold. It works out very cheap. It works out about €1 per week, more or less, depending on the consumption. And if you go any further, it builds up to more. So in a way, instead of paying hundreds of dollars per month, now you reduce it just $1 a month. We show the same thing with the gases. When we release the technology on the third day of the blueprint, we will show you. You can use that system to burn for the house. You can use that system for filling up the gas tank, running the car on it. The extension of this technology added to a car, electric cars, which we'll show in the coming weeks, means you do not need to charge your electric car anymore. The process started most of you around 2014, 15, we showed you, now is a commercial product, which means the technology is proven. It's not theory anymore. It's not a knowledge anymore. It's a technology delivered, continuous deliverance. And you got to realize most of us, we don't use more than 300 watts to 600 watts during the day, unless we do cooking, unless we heat up or cool down during the summertime. And as you see, the light is still on, which means the battery is at 26.2, 6.3 volts. Is the inverter that detects the droppage, calls on the plasma to fill it up, to charge it up, and then charges it up, and it kicks into the next system. The system built up for the commercial side takes this part of the inverter out of the proposition. Yes.
I could show if you want.
Yes.
The controller.
Yeah.
Because 26.6, can you see this? Is this visible? Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
26.6 is our balance situation. The plasma kicked in. Now you see 26.57 and it loads up again. 26.58 takes some minutes to charge. Now it's at 26.8. Jumps already to 0.9. So it means it's charging now. So 26.6. This is the balance. Sometimes it goes to 26.61 and 2, but 26.6 is the balance of the system with 300 watt continuously supplying. Next time if it kicks in, I can show the same again. This goes on and on and on. And it does not go lower than 26.6 in the balanced situation.
The fridge is open. We can run this during the whole process. We can leave this one for months and months to come. You can work on an AC, or if you run it in the car, you don't need the AC conversion. You can work on a DC. And this is what we call a change in the game, where we use the edge of science and technology and knowledge. And I'm sure in the next few months, the size of this unit will be maybe smaller than the refrigerator in front of you. And it goes back, brings back memories that if you go to Manchester University, where the first computer, which was just adding plus, minus, dividing and subtract, what you call it, division, is a 2-story house. That was the first computer man ever created. You go to Manchester, you see it. And now we have come from a 2-story building to this block, and now you can see what the calculator does in your pocket. That will be the evolution in the science. As we build it, this will become a what we call historical unit. The first time, plasma generation. And the beauty of it is, goes back again to the roots of the knowledge. If we add the knowledge of the nuclear plasma into this box will produce megawatts. We are using the plasma in a room condition. We have not brought the knowledge of a nuclear plasma for a space into this game. This, if we bring nuclear plasma technology into this, which no instrument today has the capability to detect it, I'll produce megawatts out of this box. This is a pure, natural plasma process, and it gives you what you need. We needed to do this, we needed to show this, because this now brings a lot of things into focus. Upstairs above us is the Iranian flight system, which actually flew exactly 12, 14 years ago in Tehran. We brought the knowledge. Do you want to show the...
I can show it again.
Yeah, show the voltage, please.
Because then we see that we drop always nearly the same time and we come back to 26.6 after a certain time as well. I think this is the best proof that we are not losing any energy.
Now it starts building up.
So 26.55 is our starting, and it should go back to 26.00. It's charging again. $26.8.
5.8.
Sorry, 26.58. Yeah. 5.9. It's even charging quicker already. It's building up.
Just as it builds up.
Yeah.
The fridge is still there.
Yeah. 26.59. And now we are back to 26.60, the balanced situation.
As I was explaining, that if we add nuclear plasma technology, which again has been developed some years ago, nobody can detect it. And if you add it to this system, you can do everything with it and create a new condition for megawatts of energy. This is a very, what did the Americans say, small, was it, step for mankind, a trip for mankind, or whatever you guys said. This is a very big box, but will have such a punch in the world of energy that will change the history of the man. Implication of this box and what we showed in Tehran, production of hydrogen, and what you will see in the third Keshe Foundation, what we call live energy system, finishes the oil industry, finishes the power generation industry. If you give me $30 billion or euros to build one nuclear reactor, which costs today, and then all the problems with it, all the Fukushima problem, all the 3 Mile Island with it, I can give you enough system that can literally supply a nation. It's rather important for all of us to understand the implication of what was shown last Monday and today. We saw the extension of use of energy. where the fridge, and again 3,500 watts, was extended by 3-4 times. Adding that system to this system, understanding the work of the two, we need very few systems like this to supply a village, supply a town. And if you noticed the showing of the production of the gas last week, if Rick can pick it up somewhere, the back end of it, when they showed the first time the burning of the gas, there was nothing. As the gas built up, we saw when you can see the fridge is dead, is blinking itself. When we saw the demand went onto the gas production, the bubbles increased rapidly, which means production of the gases on demand. Putting that technology, including this technology together, we'll understand. You can go to a fuel station, tank a gas. Yep, we can see it on the screen. It's important you see it. And when we see the fire goes on, but look at the bubbles in the tank in the background. That's the key. If you see it, the bubbles increases very rapidly, which means we can convert energy to gas on demand. You see the bubbles as it goes on increases. And so with this process, we can extract the gases in the environment, hold on to, and when we need it, convert it. When we need it, we convert it to a gas. We need it, we convert it to what we need. And this literally changes the energy game. If you like to go back on the camera again in the studio, what it means, you put that gas unit in a fuel station, you don't need to tank it anymore. You produce the gases as the car pulls up, wants to tank. We have put a price, especially for this structure, around about 30 cents. Because the 30 cents, it might cost 1 or 2 cents to make, but allows the research, the development, the income for the foundation into the space technology and the rest of it. This allows a process that you can go still have an electric car or electric system. When you go to charge, the system does not need to be connected to a power station, burning fuel, causing all that CO2 problem. We talk about global warming, but the system just charges for the next car, for the next application. We will market this from December, January of this year. We have fixed it. We set up the structure for it into mass production, and we will see the change. We are not going to build cities to clean up the CO2. We are going to change the condition that by mass production of these units, we don't use any more fuel. And that itself, it gives the earth to heal itself from the cancer of the CO2, from cancer of the damages we've done with burning so much fossil fuel. You got to realize we politically did this. That we showed the technology in its stage in Iran. and in the second stage here, that technology is held by no nation. We have a freedom. It shows the knowledge is being shared by two independent groups of the Keshe Foundation, and we can move this one on to other positions. But this cannot be scaffolded. They cannot kill a scientist to do. Too many people know how to do it. And the expansion and rapid application will bring us that change. In a way, those of you who were crying the global warming and the heating, we have to allow the earth to heal itself now that we have found the solution. We have brought the first step of change. When you have a diseased plant, when you have a diseased body, you allow it, you find a solution for it, and you allow it to heal itself. You allow it, you don't uproot it. With the technology we showed last week and this week, we stopped the drilling, the cracking, as we heard even today. President Biden has done a presidential executive order yesterday to sort out this situation with CO2 and the energy crisis, with drilling more holes and drilling more cracking. Your Excellency President Biden, your answer is here and does not sit in the mine of Texas and in the cracking of the oils and creating more mayhem. Give that fund to the Keshe Foundation across US and beyond, and you'll have the most cleanest energy supply. Unless you're lining the pocket of those who actually voted you into the what we call the White House. I've been very straight. I did the same thing with Obama. When we gave the technology key on the 15th of November in 2012 to the American ambassador in Brussels, when we asked for the peace in exchange for what we had at that time with Iran, this knowledge is in that key. It's nothing new. It's just American scientists, with all the cleverness, do not have the intelligence of the Iranian nuclear physicists to know how to decode the information on the key. The key was given to the American ambassador, went to Washington. The key went to 75% of the world population governments. And nothing has changed on that key. The knowledge is the same. When the Singaporean government gave the key to one of the scientists and he contacted me and says, I have the key, but I can't decipher what you've done. Can you tell me? I said, how did you get it? He said, the government has given it to me. I said, are you part of it? He says, no, I'm an independent scientist. I said, if you know it, the world has to know it. And we opened the key. So the knowledge has been in the hand of the elite scientists of the governments. Now, it can be shown in public. We gave it to the governments, we gave it to you knowledge seekers, you couldn't do anything with it, so we had to show you how it's done. We saw two parts of it on Monday, and I think this on its own is a powerful statement. As I said, we market this very rapidly. We tried to market the gas before October, November, to meet the demand of the German nation, as we've seen. As we said, the collapse of the German economy due to the boycott by what we call the Russian gas pipeline. And then we built it to the next one. What is important with this is you look at it as a light. You look at it as the structure in front of you. I'm not interested in this because this unit, this technology backs into that technology. These are the space reactors, what we needed to be able to produce materials and to create what we call the enhancement units work. So What you see here, you're happy to get. I needed this to make an independent power supply into the flight system, which many of you are coming to test in the past 4 or 5 weeks. Every time, Tuesday, Wednesday, we get about 10 of you. And very interesting situations coming up with it. I'll explain later on. So the reason we are interested in this is not what you're interested, you look at the AC lights or DC lights. Is the plasma energy fields which allows us to run the new plasma enhancement flight units. This is power supply for it. This unit will be fitted into what if you came to Austria to see it. And it has given many of you many chances to see a lot of other things. We adopted it, if you remember when we started, with the 3, 4, 5 people at the beginning. I keep on opening this to see is actually there is no power. As I keep on saying, this is an inverter problem, which we had to show it for us this way, that you don't think there is something behind. It's a consumption. Yes, go ahead to show.
Okay, now that we have it running about an hour, it's the same situation. 26.6 is the balanced voltage of the system. We are 26.42. Plasma is kicking in, is charging the battery. 0.56, 57, 58, 59,
when you see this, you understand. We just need to multiply the system strength to give you 3 watts, 3 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts, and the rest of it. But we have gone for maximum 2 kilowatt use, which is put on offer, and it'll be delivered as it is, the way it is. And as I said, you're interested in the electric side of it. Our flight system runs on the plasma side of it. And in that process, allows us to create the condition of the flight. As I said, if they can turn the cameras, the flight room, what we call simulation room, is just on my right. Yes, you can turn it. You can see if you've been to Keshe Foundation, you have seen it just sits behind that wall. Behind that door is the most advanced space flight system known to man. You can fly with the soul of the man, or you can fly with the physicality of the man. In the coming weeks, we'll show you. This is where the knowledge of what we call Keshe Foundation sits and demonstrated. We produce it in the factories, in the laboratories, bring it here to show its power. And what is interesting for us, as we said, we had a very interesting people here on Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's the second time we had, if you go back into the recording of testimonials, we had a guy who said he felt Christ, presence of Christ. He wanted to do that. But what we have now, we are, as I told you, we are literally setting up the information. We're gathering data. On Tuesday, we have a lady here, non-European, and we did not know anything. We don't ask anybody any question when they come in. When they go in and they come out, then they explain to us what they've been, what was their wishes. In her writing before it goes to the system was to see the Christ, bless his name. And this we were not aware of. When she came out, she gives us a detailed physical features of Christ. The color of the hair, the eye, the clothing, the sound, the voice. And what was exchanged. What we have up to now, I'm sure we'll see, because many people who come here, their wish is to see Christ. And it fits into the description we have given before how he will look. I'm sure in the process we'll bring all that in. This doesn't come that the lady has seen the Christ. Her ancestors, the way we carry the mutation of DNA, carries the RNA information down the line. That's where we see it. And we've seen evolution in that process. We cannot do this with the electric current. We can only do it with a plasma current. With the plasma, the way the energy of the body of the man as a plasma does. None of us has an inverter like this. None of us has a charger. None of us has all sorts of things. Our body works on the process of recharging, getting new energy like this does, by eating food, by absorbing energy from outside. But now, the matter state has to run on a matter condition. And you see the process. We know there's nothing wrong, it's saying better, because the blue eye here, the blue light tells us I'm in full charge, I'm running. And this is what we call actually a blueprint day. We have printed that blue light on the history of the knowledge of the man. It brings its beauty, it brings into what we brought and what we can show. And this is part of the what we call the change for humanity. The units, as I said, will be smaller, compact, but is showing the strength of the knowledge. You can literally go on the Keshe Foundation website and order it. I hope they have opened the, what we call the store, delivery in December, January of next year. And what is interesting with it is, we try to cover the gas production prior winter time, that nations can support it. The gas production units, what we saw in Tehran and the rest, will be delivered to governments for them to see and to bring the change in, to kick in, and we'll see the change in the fortune of the European nations with the boycott and the cut of the gas from Russia. As we heard in past couple of days, the Russians are indefinitely closing the pipeline to the northern line of the gas pipes to Germany. For whatever reasons they say is force majeure, they could not see such a thing. Now they shut down. There's a bigger problem. The bigger problem, we know what it is. But what is interesting, as I said, the worst thing is for all this new technology is that they say usually what changes comes from within. I come from an Iranian nation, which during the Shah in 1970s, up to very recent past, 90%, 95% of his national growth income came through oil and gas. Today, man from Iran, the oil reserves and gas reserves, which the nations of the world depend on, now have to destroy everything from the base because now you don't need it. What's going to happen to the nations like Iran? What's going to be the eventuality with nations like Saudi Arabia? They're sponsoring big, huge terrorist organizations. What we're seeing, the amalgamation of knowledge and the wealth of the West has brought so much pain to Middle East. What's going to happen to this? What's going to happen to implication of now the gas and this on the nations who are totally dependent on these natural resources? It's a change of game of the totality. It's a change because now in next 5 or 10 years, it's not going to happen overnight. We will not touch oil as we've done today. We will not refine oil as we've done today because we don't need oil to run our engines. The cars we have today running on oil, we put a gas converter on, we put what you've seen, and then we step it up to the next level. What will be interesting is not that we are not ready. We can show and demonstrate the production of methane gas today. But through to what we have and what's going on, we'll show this in the third presentation of the Keshe Foundation on what we call the energy resources. What will be interesting is for knowledge seekers to understand what we have and what will come is not very far from here. No. We're going to show you something very interesting. And I'll tell you the reason why it's going to be done in a different way is this. On the third plasma generation energy, you will see, how we demonstrate the production of methane gas in a commercial level. And with it, in the next presentation, we show you us deliberately creating CO2 gas. Has application for us, and it will build up the system to what we want to show. The methane production in the second or third energy development, which we announced it, will be shown simultaneously between Tehran and Austria together. Has to be done that way to bring the change, to bring the condition. This system is getting literally finished. We don't have the production of what we call mass production for coming time to be delivered. And we will show the system which will work in a condition of fuel stations and home use. And Tehran and Austria, we show Tehran first with hydrogen and electric. We will show Tehran and Austria together with the production of CO2 and what we call methane gas. And that will bring us to a new condition, independence from the resources of this planet. In a way, we become independent from the resources of this planet, but become dependent on the resources of the universe. This is what this technology is, universal systems. And how the system will run, will operate, and how the system will build up to become an inclusive system. It'll become an inclusive system where we have shown the energy, we have shown the gas. We need to bring into play the production of the water. We need to bring into display the production of food as a universal unit. The understanding of this technology is what we call important for all of us. And as knowledge seekers, you've been at this for years. Now, as always we said, the proof of pudding is in eating it. We've shown it, the extension, rapid extension or generation added to the extension, then you can see it can do marvels. It can change the whole history of the power generation. We needed the steps of 150, 200 years with the oil production and with other things. But now it's time to move in the revolution of what we call second industrial revolution in the history of the man, to move from matter to plasma and bring this into what we call completion. There is a note in the background, what happens to the people who order the plasma units. Those plasma units will be replaced with a 0.3 kilowatt generator, as we promised. Those who ordered till yesterday. As of yesterday, that offer of replacement has changed, which means you can have the plasma system or you can have the generator. You can't just go and buy it. There's a price difference of 5,000 and 10,000. You can convert and you can add to, and will bring into play totally a new game in energy, totally a new different way of energy production. As you can see, the fridge is still running. Now is to, in the coming weeks, to transfer this into the flight simulation. And as we said, as we talk now, they're changing the systems in the flight system because we finished till next week. We learned a lot the past 2 days. The systems have been adjusted. The system has been adapted for the new, what we call flight system. And by next week, we go for transmutation, which means we want to transmute people or objects from one unit in the flight simulation system to the other. And as we said, you can become volunteers to be the first person to be transmuted, the first group of people to be transmuted. The knowledge has reached that point, and we have achieved what we call continuity of knowledge expansion. And some of the things you've seen in the picture now is in this room. Some of what we showed before, you can see how the extension of the knowledge has come into play. We hope at the moment the system is under development and the production in Keshe Foundation research centers, where what we showed you in the past will become the present and the future of what we call the world of life of man. Here, if our camera can turn and we can show, you will see the first, what we call horizontal unit. In this unit, the doctors will be able to literally do anything man needs. It is not MedBed. This is a plasma technology at the edge of science. It's been used. It's not something theoretical. It's been used. We have used it here. And you can literally, in time, the doctors can grow limbs. While you're in here, given times, amputated legs can be regrown. Heart surgeries you don't need to do, because each section of this system brings different application, different condition. And it's been said, it's not something that it might work, it's already been checked. It's controlled by a panel where doctors can decide which to, where to, how to bring in. Then what you see here again is the vertical unit. You don't need to go into that system. This one is getting built very much like the system we have in the flight zone, where you can go in and in next maybe month or two, it will be completed by our people, and literally you become passenger of Universal, where you decide where you want to go, where you decide in how you want to extend it, where the knowledge of the plasma, not matter state, will kick in. One of the problems scientists have had in moving material is they always rely on electric. In the world of science, in the world of creation, is always plasma. Now that we have managed to create a plasma energy, all what man dreamt becomes a reality. You can go into the box, into the vertical unit, and literally move from one place to another. You decide. We know this very well. As I said before in the teaching a couple of weeks ago, and we have proven it is 100% correct. We send people into the flight zone simulation. They sit there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I decide not to say anything. And I ask them, have you been there? No. And I say, can you come out? They come out. Nothing happened. And like yesterday, I take them back in again. And I tell them, this time, you go there. Or when they're sitting in the flight system, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we allow the energy, the field of the body of the man to take over. Then we tell them where to go, and they go exactly where we tell them. And they come back. They decide after where to go, and then they tell us. And the beauty of it is, as I said, it's like when you go to an airport, you hang around till your flight time comes, and then it comes. New York, you know which gate to go to. But now, with this technology, you go into the machine, you decide, I want to go to New York. Like yesterday, the grandfather decides, I want to see my grandchildren. And the emotion of it is an amazing condition. When the grandfather feels the presence of the grandchildren he yearns for to see. When the son sees the father and the grandfather and tells the father, I met the grandpa, and he explains the emotion physically being there. And now we put people into the system and we wait for the whole evolution of the technology to kick in, to go, to see. And when it comes to this one, like a vertical unit, we see that when you go into this, you decide where you want to go. You decide you want to go to Mars. You decide you want to go to Grandpa. You decide to meet the grandpa died years ago in the dimension of the plasma. You don't need to hope and wait for one day you meet. You meet the minute you decide. And this brings a new dimension in the knowledge of man, where now we become control of the soul and the physicality at the same time. And this is what we set out to do. You decide what you call the dream, which is the travel of the soul, to bring the physicality to. So when you go into these new systems, we can send you now with the knowledge we have, the systems actually getting fitted now by our people behind me. You can go from one system to another. In the next few months, you go from, as I promised, one side of the bridge to the other above us. And then the universe is your oyster. The technology is complete and is not a talk anymore. It's not that it might happen. It's happened, it's here. And I hope you knowledge seekers enjoyed this trouble. I hope as knowledge seekers, you understand the totality of the work of this system, this knowledge, this technology. As we said, welcome to the world of plasma. Evolution in science, evolution next step for man with plasma to decide a new future for the human race and how we decide to deal with each other. Does energy become a bargaining power? You got to understand what we saw with Corona last year. If this happens in Europe and the gas production, which is now stopped to Germany, who dies? It is not political decision to show the power of the Russia can control. The old, the sick, the operation which needs to be done on the cancer will be delayed or cancelled because there's no energy in the hospital. Children will be born premature and there is no machine to sustain them. There is so much that this energy production unit will change. We don't need to wait in Africa if the Western nations are prepared to build a refinery or to build a power generator for us. This is one of the reasons Africa is suffering so much, because Africa is not getting subsidy for the nuclear power stations. Africa is not getting subsidy for solar cells, solar villages, the way it's done in the West. Africa has reached, according to the United Nations, to the maximum production of the hydroelectric power using all the rivers. And the nations cannot grow any further because they don't have the power, they don't have the electricity. They don't have the money to buy oil, to burn, to buy gas, invest, rob, sell arms to keep your nationals happy. Now with this technology, Africans stand on the same leg as the Western nations. Africans stand in the same position as the Western nations. They have access to unlimited supply of energy. They have access to unlimited knowledge that they can use, the scientists can use in parallel with the Western scientists. It gives opportunity that we don't see the brain drain from Africa into the Western nations, that Western nations show they're the best because they pulled in. They have taken everything in. We've seen in NASA, most of the scientists are not Americans. They become Americans because the knowledge has brought them and given them an American passport. We see the same thing in Microsoft. Where has come? Microsoft was recruiting Chinese before, now recruiting Romanians, Bulgarians, and the rest, and it's become all American company, which in fact is all one nation company. And this is what I went to Ghana for, to make sure that the African nations become dependent on their own resources and the African nations stay in their own power. There is no need for people to travel to another country, risk their lives, go on the high seas, pay all sorts of things. We see the most elite scientists becoming cleaners and what knows you see the bridge still running, or what we call security man in the hand of the other places in London, and then become the president of the nation of Gambia. Because he used to live in the West, he knows more than we do. And we will see the end of abuse. What is nice to see, and in the coming weeks we'll show, as I said, the discussion of petroleum, we show you how to make, if you need fuel, diesel, petrol. We don't need to use a diesel and petrol anymore. A small conversion on your car with a gas production we have finished with the diesel and fuel. As I said, in the next maybe 10 years, 5 years, when we pass the fuel stations, we call them the old dinosaurs. It will not even worth to take the banners of the fuel stations down, because as you know, especially in Europe, if you buy a fuel station, the ground has been certified clean from oil contamination, which is initially uranium contamination within the oil which was exported. As I said, we saw the telephone boxes in London, and I saw when the mobile came, the fuel stations with what sits in front of you finishes everything. Now all electric cars is on the cart, where you do not need to charge. All electric cars that you don't need to go to a point of charge, that they burn the gas, they burn the oil hundreds of kilometers away, and they sell it to you as a green energy because you can't see it, so we blind you with it. You put a system in your car and all cars will become electric. And the beauty with it is you see DC and AC application of the generator, which means can create power, can give you the condition of the torque that you need to create motion. And if you go a step further, maybe in 5 or 10 years, maybe what we wanted to show on 25th of November 2011, when the damnation of the Belgian officers and the obstruction of the what we call demise king of Belgium, they came to my lab and they took the facilities away to show the first what we call levitating car. In that process, we come to the point that do we even need to convert this into electric? Do we even need to bring this in a position of even running a wheel? Then you can understand this plasma energy can create levitation, can create gravitational magnetic field positioning, can create a condition that all of us will become independent of the government's supply of electricity, energy resources, and the rest. In a way, as our camera is moving to another position, production and creation of what we call what you all did, and I trained you well for it in past years, conversion of the hydrogen, conversion of what we call the plasma technology, which you all done, has made this possible, that you can see the power generator in front of you. The interesting part for our governments is, can they stop you to produce H3 or hydrogen or other materials in your kitchen? And as we saw with a Chinese little girl of 5 years old on the floor of the kitchen, she's making it. Our children will learn this knowledge as they were born with it. Our children will take this to the next step, the way the second generation of human race with the new computers are creating new dimensions. And we see how we'll bring the change in. I stay here for days and weeks. You will see this is running. And it will run. It will run for as long as the whole system is recharging. But the beeping is nothing to do with the plasma technology. The beeping is to do with man current conversion technology. If we change all our what we call lights and heating in the conversion of the plasma, then we don't need this inverter. Go back into the patterns. I even explain in the patterns. Lights, which are the plasma lights, The biggest problem you have with the plasma lights is to switch them off, because it's like a sun. When it starts, it runs for life. Would in the very near future, we come to carry, instead of LED light, we call them a plasma light, which is nothing in it except the condition of plasma. You converted the CO2 into light. My biggest fear is the way we are going with the application of this technology, human race has to decide how much CO2 we extract from the atmosphere, because if we go too far, we can create the problems that we have to dig back into the oils, for example, and keep on burning them just over the what we call oil fields to create enough CO2 that the rest of us can pick it up somewhere else to convert it. In a way, it'll come back full circle. Or we develop technologies which we extract fields from the universe onto Earth that we can charge these batteries. But then this has another problem, that what other radiations or materials or fields we pull in beyond the solar system into us, because of us, beyond on Earth, because we are not used to. The biggest problem for human race from now on is not just to look at the what we call CO2 pollution or the global warming, is what fields from the beginning now, as I have explained, is to see what fields from the universe we attract. What are we bringing in? How much are we bringing in? Because now we have a plasma. What are we locking into? And then you understand the dilemma of a new technology for man is the use of the technology. That blue light explains the blue planet, but that blue light brings a change for all of us. I can sit here and we can have as many dinners and breakfasts till the cows come home, as we say in English, and the system will still work. Now the question comes, how us as humanity will work with this? How us as a human race move into the plasma technology to produce the present transition of time from matter into plasma. At the moment, it's interesting for you to see the gas, but this is a gas in a plasma condition. It has different properties than what you're used to as a normal gas. Would we need to use gases anymore? Or what do we use the gases for? What do we create with them? What do we need to do with them? These are the questions with the human race in the coming centuries and decades has to answer for its need, for its demand from the energies of the universe. And now you understand why we call all these universal energy system, universal plasma energy system, because they tap into the energies of the universe. They tap into what Keshe Foundation stands for. We are a spaceship organization, which means we bring the knowledge of space to man and how it'll be gifted with a new technology. As I said, we welcome you to the world of plasma. The elusive energy generator you've been looking for, and now, in a way, it sits right with you. It's beautiful to see. We see the light of the freeze, the man-made, and the light of the sun, the creator above it, coming from the top. Both shine the same, but bring different messages to mankind. Live with the light of the universe and enjoy the time like the rest of the creation, or stick to your powers and let the Arabs, the Iranians, the Americans, the Canadians, and the rest to take you for ransom for energy. Work with us with the knowledge of the creator, and no one takes no one to ransom. But this is the beginning, and we'll see how things develop. We see how everything else will move on. As I said, when you look The light is still on. The plasma still working. This is the man's job that we have to convert for you to AC. And then you'll understand the process of the technology in bringing the knowledge through the Keshe Foundation is complete. We go for a small break and we come back. And then I answer any questions as usual we do on Thursdays, and we call it a day. But meanwhile, you hear a lot of bleeping because man's life harvest was bleeped. Now we have to sort this bleeping for you to become part of the universal community without the bleep. Rick, if you'd like to take us out of bleaking time in something interesting, and we come back.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. What a great demonstration and very inspiring. Okay, we'll take a short break here and for some commercial messages and be back shortly.